Hey guys, welcome to Comics on the Screen. I'm your host Chris, and today we're going to be talking about the newly released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows very first trailer. Now, just to give a little backstory, I am a big Turtles fan. I was born in '87, so I was in the era of Ninja Turtles from the very late '80s and into the '90s. At their peak of popularity. Like a lot of kids in the 90s, I was exposed not to the comic, but actually the 1987 Ninja Turtle series and then the 90s movies. I have pretty much checked out every Ninja Turtles iteration, whether it be the comics, the movies, the shows that have appeared pretty much in every decade since '87. And 2 years ago, we had the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movie, which had a lot of really different stuff going on. First, everyone thought that they were going to be aliens. There was an original script that was leaked that involved the fact that the Turtles weren't aliens, but they were from Dimension X. And then we had a rewritten script, which pretty much totally tossed that out, and they had the movie that we saw last year, which was very flawed. I ended up leaving the movie theater enjoying it. I had really low expectations, but I really enjoyed it, and so did the kids that were in the theater, and the adults. It was a really cool audience of people around my age, which would be late 20s, early 30s, who you can tell kind of grew up with them too, and now they were seeing it with their kids who were into it, not just because of the movie, but because of Nickelodeon's new show. But the script was really flawed. There were obvious reshoots with William Fichtner's character, who was going to be Shredder, and then people weren't okay with them whitewashing Shredder. So they kind of had to reshoot around that. The backstory of how the Turtles learned Kung Fu from Splinter reading a book was crazy. A lot of it actually also felt like it was... there were a lot of things in the origin and in the movie that felt like they were taken from Amazing Spider-Man, which is really weird. But despite all that, whenever the Turtles were on screen, I thought the Turtles were the Turtles. I mean, I think the voice for Leonardo was a little weird, and it wasn't strange that the movie focused on Raphael, because the very first Ninja Turtles movie focused. I mean, obviously, there's a lot that Raphael is focused on in those first two movies, but it also felt a little weird that they had kind of separated the Turtles. The CGI was weird and off, and I think people weren't really used to seeing them. So the second movie has a new writing team, it has a new director, and from the trailer, it seems to have a new focus. This trailer, I'm just going to flat out say, I actually really liked this trailer. This movie looks like it is a 2-hour episode from the 1980s cartoon series. You have Rocksteady, you have Bebop, you have an already more active Shredder. It looks like they're introducing Dimension X, and that's what I think is in the beginning of the trailer with the portals opening and everything. You have the Rocksteady and Bebop tank, which is awesome. You have Casey Jones, played by Stephen Amell, and I guess what is a very sort of meta casting to cast the guy who plays Green Arrow as a, guy in New York City who's kind of a vigilante, who has a mask and goes around with hockey sticks. You have returning April and Vern, and Laura Linney is in this movie for reasons I don't entirely understand. I mean, this definitely seems like something that would be a little beneath her. but yeah, I think there's something also, I don't know, maybe it's just the way the movie is lit, but the CGI for the turtles looks a little different in a good way. The CGI for Rocksteady and Bebop doesn't really look as detailed as the turtles, but this isn't a movie in which I'm going to criticize the CGI. I mean, I think that's what happens when you have 6 characters that are all CGI. And whether I like the fact that these are all CGI or not, I mean, it's kind of besides the point. That's something to talk about 2 years ago. This is the way they're going with it, and you either really like it or you don't. Again, it's a trailer, and as if you listen to my Dawn of Justice trailer review, you know that I don't like to review trailers. And one of the reasons is I think people make really big deals about things that when you go into a movie is very different. And I think Transformers Age of Extinction is kind of still in, I think that's what it was called, it's still in people's minds, where it was heavily promoted that they had the Dinobots, and I haven't seen the movie, but apparently they were in like the last like 5 minutes of the film, and that's it. The one thing I think that would concern me about the film is that you have Rocksteady and Bebop, which is really, really cool, but it looks like the movie also has Dimension X. I'm hoping that the Dimension X stuff happens at the end, and it's more of a tease. Let me rephrase this. More of a setting up for the third movie, which is really going to go into Dimension X. I've said before about the leaked script that they were originally going with, which had the Turtles travel into Dimension X. I think Dimension X is a really, really cool thing, and I think that that's definitely something that they should explore in the movies. That would be a little different from just the Turtles taking on mutants. And then, of course, I mean, everyone wants to see Krang. So, I mean, you can do that. I mean, or the Rock Soldiers, or, I mean, it's very obvious that these movies are tailored to the people who watch the cartoons. And I understand that Bebop and Rocksteady are in the new cartoon from Nickelodeon. I don't remember if they were in the 2003 series. I don't think they were. But I think that if you're going for that, you want to go all the way. So I kind of expect there to be a Krang cameo, and I hope that the Dimension X does have to do with Shredder, and because I think that would make one of the biggest problems with the movie I had last year is that the plot of Shredder made like absolutely no sense. So I'm hoping that they put Shredder in with Dimension X plot line and all of that. And we definitely need, I think the Turtle movies are in desperate need of a new villain other than just Shredder. So if it turns out that Shredder is actually working with or working for Krang, I think that would be really cool. And we can get into, you know, Turtles versus aliens and stuff like that, which I think with these movies are kind of like the Fast and Furious movies, where you just have to go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger each movie. As for Casey Jones, Stephen Amell is not the greatest actor of all time. I have a really hard time judging actors like Stephen Amell because it's very obvious that in Arrow he was not cast for his acting prowess. He was cast because he looks hot and he can do the stunts. And so, you know, what you have to do is you have to surround an actor like that with other actors who can, you know, who can sort of carry those scenes. And I think with Arrow they haven't really done a very good job of that because they've surrounded him with a lot of actors who can't carry scenes. I don't want to go into a big thing about Arrow, but obviously you can find videos on my channel about it in the coming days. But he's not the greatest. However, if his role in Casey Jones is to be there to be charming and to kick ass, then I think that'll work. I really do like the hockey mask, which is very much an homage to the original Casey Jones hockey mask. It'll be interesting because it kind of seems like they're trying to put Casey Jones and April together, which obviously is a movieism, and that's been in a lot of the iterations since then. And it actually makes a lot more sense than what they awkwardly tried to do in the last movie, which is put Vern and April together, even though Vern is played by Will Arnett, who has to be like at least 10, 12 years older than Megan Fox. The other thing I really didn't like about this is, and this goes into a whole different thing, but they couldn't even go through a trailer without trying to sexualize April. And it's kind of a disturbing thing considering who this movie is targeted to. Like, you can make the argument that it's targeted to the adults who grew up with the 80s cartoon, and that's fine. It's also targeted to kids, and they couldn't even go halfway into the first movie without doing this joke about her ass and everything. It was just, I don't know. I just think it's weird, and maybe it's just me, but I just find that very weird and awkward to put in a movie that's very much targeted to kids, especially since you can make a joke about how, like, kids' first crush was April O'Neil in the 80s cartoon. In the movies, they never really sexualized April that way. So it's a nitpick of mine that I feel like they have to do that with April. Because also besides Laura Linney, she's the only female character in the movies. I just think sometimes they forget that they're making a movie for kids. We had Tyler Perry as Baxter Stockman, which is just weird. Bebop and Rocksteady, they look fine. Apparently Sheamus from the WWE is playing, I think he's playing Rocksteady. So weird, but we'll see. So yeah, I think I really have nothing else to say about this trailer other than I think it looks better than the first movie. I think the CGI for the turtle, like I said, I think the CGI for the turtles looks different. I don't know if it's that they have changed how they did it due to some of the the criticisms about how they looked in the first movie. I mean, obviously they can't do a total rehaul of the turtles, otherwise this makes no sense. But maybe it's the way it's lit. Maybe, I have no idea. But this just looks like it's going to be an action-packed, fun adventure that pays a lot of homage to the 1980s cartoon. And I'm all there for that. I don't know. I've read so many comments so far about people who said, like, I liked the first movie, but I can't defend this trailer. And I don't know. I don't understand that. I don't know how you can like that first movie and then go against this trailer. Because this trailer looks like, I think for me personally, it has way more of what I expected in a Ninja Turtles movie than the first one did. But this is kind of what I expected the sequel to be. Now that they did a really bad origin and they got that out of the way, they can go and they can put Casey Jones in and Bebop and Rocksteady and more. I do hope that it's not overstuffed, and that they do give everyone appropriate time. And I do hope the Turtles are more of a focus in terms of screen time in this movie than in the first movie, which had a lot to do with April. And I think that if you look at most of the fan reviews, they would say that that was one of the problems, is that, like, whenever the Turtles were on screen, they were the Turtles, and they were fun to watch and everything, but the human story took away from it. We also didn't see William Fichtner yet, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be in this movie, and I'm kind of interested to see what they do now that, you know, his role in the series has really changed. So I have no idea what they're going to do with that. I don't know what they're going to do with Baxter Stockman. I'm assuming Baxter Stockman is the one that turns Rocksteady and Bebop into mutants. But I also wonder if they're going to turn him into the Fly. I hope they don't do it in this movie, because then I think there's just way too many characters. But we'll see. There's a lot of possibilities. And like I said, as a Turtle fan, I really liked everything I saw. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's what a Turtle movie should be. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's going to do it for me on this trailer review, and I'll see you guys later.